Hello folks, I'm Milton Crabapple, and I'm a cooking. Hello folks, I'm Milton Crabapple, and I'm about to show you how to make my famous Brunswick stew recipe in 30 minutes or less. So stay tuned. Okay, now these are the basic ingredients for my Brunswick stew. I got about a pound and a half of good pulled smoked pork barbecue. No sauce on it, just plain barbecue. I get this up at Smokehouse Barbecue off Charlotte Road. That's my favorite barbecue. Now what I got here is just a smoked chicken. I picked that up at the Kroger store. It's just a roasted chicken rather, not a smoked chicken, but I got that already cooked. I got some chicken broth, I got some baby lima beans, I got some diced tomatoes, and I got some whole kernel corn. Now that's the main ingredients. I'll show you how to do the spices and make the sauce later on, but when you get ready to put your sauce in there, you just put your favorite kind of barbecue sauce in it, whatever you like. The sauce is a personal preference. So these are the main ingredients, and I'm going to show you how I prepare them, so stay tuned. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is take this big sharp knife and I'm just going to chop up this pork. You see, it's got a lot of outside meat on it. That's why I like their barbecue up there. The fellas knows I like outside meat. Some barbecues don't have any outside meat. It's just too lean for me. Good barbecue needs to have a little fat in it. A little juice, a little of that outside meat, get a little of that burnt flavor, get it all mixed in there together. But you see, I'm just chopping this up, and it don't have to be nothing fancy. That's just about right. Now there we go, I got my barbecue chopped up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add it to my cast iron skillet. We'll just scoop it all right into my cast iron, right into my Dutch oven. There we go. Now I'm going to chop up my chicken. Now what I'm going to do with this chicken is I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to peel all the skin off of it. I'm not going to keep the skin, I'm just going to use the meat. So we'll sit here and we'll just pull all the skin off of this chicken. We'll just pull it apart. Any way you want to do it, you just got to get the meat off the bones. Make sure you don't get no bones in there or somebody will complain about it, just as sure as the world. But I'm just boning it out, getting all the good meat out. You don't have to get every little piece of it, there's plenty of it on there. Light meat and dark. Now, some people just can't stand to eat dark meat. I love dark meat. You don't want to put dark meat in your chili, in your Brunswick stew, don't put it in there. Here again, a recipe ain't nothing but a guideline. That's all it is. You take a recipe and then you tweak it around to where it fits your style of cooking and your style of eating. Some people say, I don't want dark meat in mine. Well, don't put any dark meat in there, but I like these thighs. Dark meat gives it just a whole complete chicken flavor. The legs in there. So I'm going to finish boning all of this meat out, and then I'm going to chop it up, and we're going to add it in there too. So you're going to stay with me. All right, I got that chicken all boned out and real good. Got all the skin and every bones out of it. So there it is. So I'm just gonna put it right in my Dutch oven, right in there with my pork. Now you can add squirrel, sometimes I do, rabbit. You can make Brunswick stew. The main thing is it's gotta have pork in it. Now there you go. Now that's all the meat. That's my chopped up chicken and my chopped up pork. It's all in there. Now I'll show you the other ingredients we're gonna put in there with it. All right, now we're gonna put the main ingredients. Now this is whole kernel corn, not cream corn. I ain't partial to any brand. I picked this up because that's what they had. And I've drained it, and I'm just gonna put my corn in there. I like corn in my Brunswick stew. I'm gonna put that whole can in there. Now I'm gonna add a small can of diced tomatoes. Now not crushed tomatoes, not whole tomatoes, but diced tomatoes. I'm just gonna pour that in there. Small can, now that's one of them soup-sized cans. Next, I'm going to add a few baby lima beans. Not too many, but I like putting a few lima beans in my Brunswick stew too. So that's not nowhere near a bag. That was a big bag. This is about the second batch of stew I've made with it. But there's some little baby lima beans. And next, I'm going to put in some chicken broth. And that, whatever brand you use, there again, I'm not partial to any brand. Just going to pour the chicken broth in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stirring it up. It's going to take probably about 1.5 of these to get it to the right consistency like I like it. I'm going to go ahead and pour that whole one in there. See if that's enough. And we're just going to stir it up good. And all I'm going to do after I get this done, I'm going to make me some barbecue sauce. And I'll show you how to make my famous barbecue sauce in a minute. But we're going to get this all stirred up good, and then we're going to put it on low heat. And we're just going to let it heat up until where it starts to boil just a little bit, just barely, till them lima beans get tender. Now, when them lima beans get tender, the stew is done. It's ready to go. That'll take about 20 minutes once we put the heat on. I'm going to put a little bit more chicken broth. I'm gonna go get some more. Then I'm gonna show you how to make my sauce, so stay tuned. One other thing I almost forgot to show you is lemon juice. Now I like to put a whole lemon, but this was a big lemon, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna squeeze about a half of that lemon in there, squeeze the juice out good. Lemon juice just gives it a really good little tang. I'm gonna stir that up good. I'm gonna just plop that lemon right there. That's for presentation purposes. Now, like I've said before, folks, a recipe is just a guideline. I like to put a little bit of salt in my Brunswick stew, not a whole lot. And I like to put some black pepper in my Brunswick stew. Not a whole lot, just to give it a little bit of warmth there, but that's about all the salt and pepper it needs. Give just a little more salt there. Now we're just gonna let that simmer. Now I'm gonna go make my stew. Y'all stay with me. I'm gonna show you exactly how to make, not my stew. I'm confused. Thinking about eating this stuff has done got me excited. This is for my Super Bowl party, so whatever time of the year you're watching this video, you'll know this was the weekend of the Super Bowl. All right, now folks, I'm going to show you how to make my famous barbecue sauce. Now I'll tell you this, I've never made it exactly the same way twice, but I'm going to show you how I'm making it today. Now you can add things to it, take away from it. That's the good thing about barbecue sauce. There ain't no right or wrong, it just depends on what you like. But I'm gonna show you what I'm in the mood for today. Now it starts off with ketchup, so I'm gonna put, for this size of batch of barbecue I'm making, I'm gonna put in here probably about And I tell you what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take that lid off because I want more ketchup quick. I'm gonna put in there that's probably about a half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of ketchup. And I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoonsful of white vinegar. 1, 2. Now I'm going to add some chili powder. A little garlic powder, not a whole lot. I'm going to put just a touch of cayenne pepper in there just to give it a little heat. Just a little bit now. Going to add a little salt. Of course, we've already put salt and pepper in a Brunswick stew, so we don't need much. Put a little more black pepper. Add just a little bit of onion powder to it. That gives it just a little bit of a extra flavor. And then one of my favorite things to add to it is I'm going to put a little of this Roddenberry's molasses. Now, you can't buy this stuff anymore. It's been gone for a long time, but I had me a good stock when I found out they was going out of business. So I'm just going to put just a little dollop of blackstrap molasses. Now that adds a real nice little flavor to it. So there's my barbecue sauce. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to heat this up on the stove. I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how much I'm going to heat it, so stay tuned. One thing I forgot to tell you was I put about 2 tablespoons full of sugar in there. I forgot to do that a while ago, but I usually put the sugar in my barbecue sauce. I like barbecue sauce. A little bit of sweet and a little bit of vinegar goes real good. Now you can see what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat this up basically until that sugar melts. Salt is dissolved, the sugar is dissolved. I'm not going to let it boil. Just want to get it kind of warm. You'll see it where it starts to just kind of bubble up just a little bit right around the edges. And that's when you know that's about all you got to do. So I'm going to turn my burner off now. And I'm going to go add this barbecue sauce to my Brunswick stew. All right, I'm going to pour my sauce in. Now I'm just going to let that simmer. You see it's starting to low boil a little bit and simmer. I'm just going to stir it up good. And I'm going to let it simmer till my lima beans get tender. And when my lima beans get tender, folks, this is going to be the best Brunswick stew you ever put in your mouth, I'm telling you. Next time you got to go to a family reunion or cookout, or you got to go over to have somebody over for dinner and you want to knock the socks off, just make this Brunswick stew recipe. They'll think you've been cooking on it for days and days. But little do they know, it's just old Milton Crabapple's secret recipe. I'm telling you something. That's fitting for a king right there. Well, I thought while I was sitting here having me a bowl of Brunswick stew, I got to thinking, now that's good stew. But you buy some stew, you can buy it in cans and stuff, it ain't fit to eat. I've tried it before, but I'll tell you, it ain't nothing like my Brunswick stew. As a matter of fact, there ain't nothing like it used to be, it seems like. Products today just ain't as good as they used to be. They just cheap, They don't last long. They ain't put together correctly. Beats all I ever seen. You know, prime example, me and Dude was going fishing the other day. We headed down to the river. We got about halfway down there and I realized I'd forgotten my life jacket. Left it at home. Well, I always wear a life jacket to be safe. Plus the law requires you have one in the boat. So I said, Dude, I forgot my life jacket. I don't want to go all the way back home. I said, just pull over up here at this store and buy me a life jacket. They had kind of a little sporting goods store there. And I said, pull over, I'll get me a life jacket. So I went in and bought me a life jacket. We got down on the river and got to fishing. Well, we hadn't been fishing 10 minutes till it started raining. I mean, it started pouring down rain. We was getting soaking wet. I said, I don't want to fish in this, Dude. Let's go home. So we headed back up to the boat ramp, got back up there, and I was taking my life jacket off, and that thing was just falling apart. It was just coming all to pieces. I was trying to take it off, and it was just shredded. It was just coming apart, beat all I ever seen. I said, stop back by that store. I'm going to take this girl darn life jacket back. This thing's coming apart. So I walked in there. Fella said, can I help you? And I laid that life jacket up on the counter. I said, look at this life jacket. The thing's just falling apart. He looked at it. He said, got it wet, didn't you? I'm Milton Crabapple, and thanks for watching this episode of I'm a Cookin'. Be sure to visit miltoncrabapple.com. Check out all my CDs, DVDs, and downloads. Become a member of my fan club. Visit the website today. Much obliged.